Hi, this is Lawrence Gowan of Styx, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. I am Bruce.
And I'm Chris.
Today, we've got a real special show for you. We've got Lawrence Gowan of Styx fame. I know myself, speaking for myself, I've been a fan of Styx forever, and this is going to be a real treat to talk to him. And I know Chris, as a fellow Canadian, you're interested in speaking with them as well.
Hello. Hello, it's Lawrence Gowan of Styx calling Bruce Moore.
Hey, how are you, Lawrence?
I'm very well. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing great. Can you hang on one second? Let me get my partner on the line.
Yeah, sure.
All right, hold on one second. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Chris, it's Bruce. We have Lawrence on the line. Lawrence, meet my partner, Chris. Chris, meet Lawrence.
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Very well. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going great. Before we get started here, I just want to say, I live in North Virginia now near D.C., but I originally grew up in Canada, and I'll never forget seeing the Criminal Minds video when it debuted on Video Hits on the CBC back in the day, way back in the day.
Well, that's great. It's funny. That's what a coincidence. So where are you guys right now?
I'm in Richmond.
And I'm just outside D.C. in Virginia.
Virginia, yeah. Last night our show here, we're up in Casino Rama up in Aurelia, Ontario. So we played here last night. We're playing here again tonight with Styx, and we played the Criminal Minds last night. We'll play it again tonight. So it's kind of good talking to a guy that actually saw the original before the original happened.
Oh, yeah. What was the girl that hosted Video Hits? Samantha.
Yeah.
And that was like...
Taylor.
Yeah. And that song came out just on the cusp of when Much Music was starting, if I remember correctly. So, anyways, you're the lead singer of Styx now. What was it like going from being such a successful solo artist in Canada and joining Styx and then having to sing their songs?
Well, very different, quite honestly. But having said that, every time I go to make an album, we kind of create something of a band in the studio anyway, and then being on tour solo, the biggest difference, quite honestly, Chris, is that instead of me being responsible for every single little piece of minutia that's involved, you've got a band effort, and that when you're sharing the burden, although it's not really a burden, but the responsibility, I guess, with other guys, you tend to make more balanced decisions, and you tend to kind of right the ship a lot quicker than when you're trying to do the thing completely on your own. I like both, though. I really do. I mean, I right after I finish this series of Styx shows, we play here tonight in Canada, and then we go back to New York for tomorrow night. Then I return to Canada and start up a series of solo shows. I like the kind of yin and yang, I suppose you'd say, of both, the balance of both, where in Styx, I'm part of a great legacy with this band, and I can lean on that very heavily. And whereas in my own world, the responsibility, the accountability factor goes way up, and I enjoy that too if we're able to pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually saw a video, I think from a drum company, about the drummer in your band, and it looks like you guys are having just a ton of fun on the road, and like you're a really cohesive unit as a band.
I think what happens is you get, let's call it, more seasoned. When you play with great players, they're constantly challenging you to be up to their level, and hopefully vice versa. It all kind of. So we're very fortunate to be in a band that is that's like that. We really do spur each other on, and we as a result, we don't accept anything less than our best performances, and whatever it takes to uphold the Styx brand, or whatever you want to call it. So, but mixed in with that is this is a really great factor. The guys in the band have a great sense of humor, and so we do enjoy each other's company on stage and off, and it's we just celebrated Jay White's birthday yesterday, and that's like a pretty raucous occasion, and then you end it with us playing a concert in front of a few thousand people, and everyone's got big smiles on their faces. So what is there to complain about?
Exactly. That's awesome. When you joined Styx, did you guys have to change the key of the songs, or did your voice already fit the key the songs were originally written in?
That's a great question. You know, what's funny is when they first called, so it was early 1999, so just over 20 years ago now. And they asked, we think you might be the guy that should join the band. And I said, okay, I'm really honored. Give me an hour to think this over. And they said, sure. So I immediately ran out the door, got in the car, went down to a local vinyl record store, grabbed a copy of Grand Illusion, came home, put it on, and realized, we have the same vocal range. So,
oh wow!
But you know what's funny is you're the first person in 20 years that's ever asked me that question in that manner about the keys, because I happen to believe quite strongly that the original key that a song is done in, it's a rare occasion when you can kind of get away with altering that key or lowering it and still having the same emotional connection to the song. It shifts it. I don't know how, but subtly it shifts it into a different thing. Look, sometimes it can actually be better, but for the most part, especially in classic rock, the keys of those songs are kind of pivotal to the whole tone of it. And no, I can tell you, Styx perform every single song we do is in the key in which it was originally recorded. No, we're able to still hit the notes, and we still, probably why we still use our tight pants.
Oh man, that's awesome. Bruce?
So Lawrence, what I was wondering is, as you mentioned, you're a more seasoned player as opposed to the dirty word of being older. Do you find it increasingly more difficult to get out there and play shows? Because, looking at your schedule and your itinerary, you guys play quite a few shows. Even, at this late stage in the game.
We travel really well. That's one of the things that, and we're accustomed to it. We've done this for, I've done it for 40 years. So I'm accustomed to this kind of pace to my life. Quite frankly, I get better sleep and better rest when I'm on tour. And when I get home for a bit, the agenda is just like really pressing. I got to get this done and that done. And all these things that you're able to, well, not ignore, but kind of put off when you're on the road. I'll do that when I get home.
Yeah, right.
So we tend, because we tour so much, that really is very much connected to what Chris was just asking. That's part of why we were able to focus on it so intensely, and so, to the exclusion of just about everything else. And we have an amazing crew and, great bus drivers and all that type of thing that they keep us really, it's almost embarrassingly comfortable, quite honestly. I'm just talking to you now from oh my God, it's essential. Because,
yeah.
The biggest thing that we're trying to avoid is over fatigue. Burning your voice is number one. It all comes down to trying not to burn out your voice and having the energy to do the energy level of a Styx show is not like a band of our vintage. We really act and perform as if we're 25 years old on stage. It's an adrenaline induced high that happens when you're playing music on stage. And when the music is high energy, like Styx music is, for the most part, you just feel like you physically want to engage with that. So right. We keep ourselves in good shape. We travel well, and it's not that great a burden unless you happen to get sick, and that's the one thing you have to avoid like crazy.
Yeah, sure. I totally get that.
So how do you stay healthy on the road then? Because being the front man of the band, not only do you have to perform, to your best ability every night, but you also have to meet thousands and thousands and thousands of fans while you're out. It's just such an important part of the process. So you're shaking hands and you're doing all this touching. How do you kind of keep yourself healthy?
Another great question. About 10 maybe, boy, maybe 15 years ago, we were in Las Vegas, and we went and saw Howie Mandel. And, you know, he was the first guy that, pardon me, after his show, he offered us a fist bump. And I'd never seen it before, right? Suddenly he's holding out his fist, and I'm like, the hell's this? But I remember he insisted on going around the room doing that, and he just very politely, but succinctly said, "Look, guys, I got another show tonight." We saw his matinee, because we had a show ourselves. He goes, "I got another show tonight, and I got to be really careful about not getting sick." So he does this fist bump thing. Well, that's the first time I'd ever seen it, and it really has caught on. But believe it or not, we do... we do use that, as much as we possibly can, because not only that, but you have to think of the people, yes, we're meeting every day. There's some kind of meet and greet, we'll meet 50, 60, or 70 people. You're exposing all of them, too, to the 50 or 60 or 70,
Yeah.
We can't go around in a bubble and be germaphobes, but at the same time, we can be realistic about these things. We've learned how it's amazing. After we've met a group of people, every single one of us goes, we know it's like we got to go wash. It's hand wash time. We're like kids in grade school almost. You know what I mean?
I often thought that if I was a band manager, I would have hand wash stations.
We do. I think Purell.
Oh yeah, you got to probably bathe in that crap.
It doesn't sound like the kind of question you'd ever get asked, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But it's really relevant now. It's very, very relevant, because, I use the word, I use it hesitantly, but the word responsibility. People go out of their way to come and see a show. The things that they have to go through today to get to that show is, for an 8 o'clock start, etc. You owe it to them to put the best version of you on that day, on that stage. It's a different mentality now than it was before, where it's like, oh, he's late. Oh, look at that. He's out of his mind.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't fly anymore. We want to get as close to excellence as we can every day.
I've only got one more because I promised to keep this short, 15 or 20 minutes. But what was it like when you found that those master tapes were destroyed in that fire? I mean, they had to be devastating, correct?
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. It really is. It's just, God, it's my own life now is connected to that, to their legacy. And then again, I don't want to just focus it on Styx. When I started reading the list of what was gone, I thought, oh my God, I just hope. I don't know. Maybe you guys know. I just hope that stuff had been digitized. You see, this is the other side of the coin. Is the digital technology is a phenomenal thing. It's enhanced our lives in so many ways. It's just that, in your previous question, to make a classic rock album sound the way the Mission does, we had to ignore the digital technology. But the digital stuff that exists now can save catastrophes like that from ruining things forever. And
my hope with all this is that Universal had a staff working on backing all these up to the digital platform. When I was an audio engineer in Vancouver, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks doing nothing but digitizing tapes. So I would think, a major label like Universal, it was Universal, right? I think. Anyways, my hope would be that they had a staff that was doing that constantly.
Well, as you know, Chris, it's laborious. I did it with my old masters, fortunately.
Yeah. At the Warehouse Studio in Vancouver, John Vertasek, the great tech that worked there, rest in peace, he actually made these custom ovens with light bulbs and stuff and a thermometer. The thermometer would trigger the light bulb to go on or off to get it at the right temperature while they were baking the tape.
I think it's 118 degrees, or is it 108? I can't remember. But I got 6 hours to 8 hours.
All right, you got to help me out here. What does that do? That loosens them up so they're playable again, or so they don't break when you throw them on the machine? I'm not sure what that does.
Yeah, explain that, Chris.
Oh, jeez. I don't want to take up time talking about this. I mean, we're talking to Lawrence Gowan here. But anyways, the particles on the tape that record the audio, the magnetic particles, over time, they get kind of sticky and they'll shed. So once you bake the tape, it kind of solidifies those, and you can get another 1 or 2 plays out of them.
Right, that makes sense.
1 or 2 plays, you can digitize them and save the material. It's funny. It sounds like we're probably putting quite a few people to sleep with this kind of stuff. What's important to me is that, because we've witnessed this in our lives now, rock music is a great musical statement of the last half of the 20th century. So it deserves to be archived properly. The new technologies to offset or to avoid these kinds of issues.
Right on. I agree with you, brother.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Bruce, I think we're a bit over time here.
Yeah, I know we are, but I don't mean to bother you, Lawrence. I'm sorry to have kept you this long, but it's truly a pleasure talking with you. Been a fan for, well, at least 20 years and fan of the band for even more than that. So thank you for everything you do, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, man, that was great questions, guys. It was a pleasure to talk. Don't worry, guys. It was very interesting. Come and see us in 2020.
Oh, yeah, man. If you guys come to North Virginia in 2020, you better believe I'm going to be there.
That was a great interview, right? I mean, I was pretty stoked that he likes our questions, and he actually just humored us and took the time to do it. It was pretty freaking great.
Oh, man, that was a once-in-a-lifetime interview for me.
And I like that he got us, because I know not many people do, but he got us. It was great. We just spoke with a legend, and hope all of you out there enjoyed that interview. I know I totally did.
Oh, man, that was amazing.
I really appreciate when people go along with us, even if they don't like us. Just pretending to makes me feel at least that I'm doing something right.
Cheers.